So today I'm going to talk to you about how I found PhDs to apply for, the tools I used, some of the advice I got from supervisors at my kind of undergraduate and master's in terms of where to apply and how to apply in kind of the process, because a couple of friends at other unis heard different things, and I know that some people aren't comfortable talking to their supervisors or their lecturers, and then it's kind of difficult to know where to get advice because the university career services aren't always, equipped to help you find a specific PhD. So where do you find PhDs? To start, here's 4 websites where you can find PhDs. Done, end of video. But there's also university specific websites. So if you go to any university website and type in PhD opportunities, yada yada, you're going to find stuff, provided they have PhD opportunities. If it's a fairly new uni, they're more unlikely to have secured that funding, but if they're quite an established uni, they should have some PhD opportunities, at least in some departments. I would particularly recommend jobs.ac.uk on this list. It's the one I found the most helpful in terms of I didn't have to specify a particular branch of science. I could keep my net kind of very wide and then kind of manually in my head go, okay, I don't like that one, I don't like that one, I don't like that one, and search through it like that, rather than kind of having to decide on a term that encompasses things. So say you really like astrophysics, you can look for astrophysics PhDs, but I kind of, when I was first starting, I didn't have something I felt passionate about, which kind of brings me to my questions. Are there universities you would like to go to, and do you have a particular passion for a subject? If you've got a particular passion for a subject, or even kind of an inkling, go look into those PhDs, and likewise, it's going to streamline the process so that you're not sifting through hundreds of options and kind of having to mentally understand lots of different descriptions. Equally, if there's a university that you really want to go to, maybe you want to try Oxford or Cambridge, maybe some of the London universities, maybe you want to try going up to Edinburgh in Scotland. There's a lot of very reputable unis, and it doesn't hurt to start your search looking at stuff that you would like to do. If you'd feel proud going to those unis, start your search there. But it's not enough to just go to a reputable uni. You kind of just also need to enjoy the subject. But it's a good starting point. So how I navigate jobs.ac, and how you would too, is you go to the website, then you'll click find PhD, and when you click that, it'll come up with this in kind of a table format for some reason instead of this page. But then you can select different things. So maybe you want to select economics, maybe law, physical and environmental sciences. So then you can select all of these things, and a very long list of PhDs is all going to pop up. So you can see it lists the salary, which is typically a stipend, not a salary, so it's tax-free. But you've got a lot of different options, and you can see that the amount varies from place to place. Some places which are kind of in the London catchment area will have higher. Some of them will just have higher funding because that's what the supervisor has managed to get when they've been kind of earning these big packets of money that allow them to hire PhD students. So anything above 15,000 outside of London is about right, and anything above about 17,000 within London is about. If it's less than that, maybe double check what kind of the details are. But yeah, so you go through these, and maybe you find one that sounds really cool. So this one sounds cool. It's got designing, which is fun for a lot of people, structured catalysts. Maybe a lot of these buzzwords will mean something to you, and it'll kind of pique your interest. So I kind of go with my gut with these things. I kind of go, okay, this seems like the kind of thing I would like, and then I don't put too much active thought into it. But then when I kind of shortlist it for stuff I want to apply to, I go through it properly and check that it is something I like. But yeah, so you look through it, it looks all good, and then you'd apply. So that could be the end of the story, but in the process of finding this one, you found not only a university you like, but also a topic you like. So if you started this process not having an answer to those two questions that I began with, you've just answered them both. So now what you can do is go to, so for in this instance it was the University of Warwick, so now you can go to the University of Warwick's page and look at their postgraduate courses. You can look at their postgraduate those PhD listings, which is really quite helpful. So this is a CDT, so you can have a look around the website. You can also look for other CDTs once you're kind of in there, so you can navigate. There's a load of different ones. See 4 years, engineering, and there's different stages, and it's a little bit more like applying to be on a bachelor's course, in terms of you're going to be in a class of maybe 10 to 20. You're going to work together on that first year of where you kind of do modules, and then you'll go on to do your PhD in the final 3 years, versus something else where it's more you do a full 3 years and is a little bit different. So once you've got the ball rolling and you have ideas about what it is you want to look for in a PhD, here's a couple of things that I was thinking about, which are worth considering. Location. Maybe you don't want to move countries, or maybe you don't want to go to Scotland, maybe you don't want to go to any specific location, or be maybe a certain radius further from your home. And those kind of restrictions are okay. You might have to be flexible about them, but just looking up where something is in the UK might help make it feel more grounded. So just type in the university's city name into Google Maps, because I know that my geography wasn't so great, and just knowing where things are will help it make more sense in your head when you think about things. And it can also stop you going too far without actually really knowing anything about where the university is, and kind of being surprised a little bit later. I was looking for fully funded. I would suggest you may as well start looking for fully funded, and if maybe your niche is something that doesn't have a lot of funding, look at other options afterwards. There are options to get government loans in the same way that you have student loans for your undergraduate. Suitable for your degree. Do you like the topic? And then this point of the status of the university. Some universities are obviously higher status than others, and where this kind of has more consequence is if you do a PhD and then want to go into academia versus going into industry. The status of your university can make a difference in whether or not you find it not necessarily easy, but if you've got a very notable uni, it's going to be easier to find a postdoc, and it might be easier to become a lecturer because you've kind of got a little extra layer of credibility just from the reputation. And this also becomes significant if you go abroad. It might be that in America they know what Oxford and Cambridge are, but they might be less familiar with Leeds or Nottingham, even though both are very, very good unis. That kind of social understanding that they're good unis might not translate, and that can be even the top 3 or 4 unis on all the league tables. You can kind of ask your parents, or maybe people who aren't on your course or in kind of university life, if they know anything about them, and they might not. So thinking about that reputation, if you want to go into academia, maybe keep it in more consideration than if you want to go industry afterwards. If you want to go into industry, checking for industry links is more important, but equally it's not make or break if the university isn't as notable as some of the big names. But it's something that my supervisors told me to keep in consideration, so I'm passing on that tidbit. Equally, some of my friends' universities told them to So they said that the process of getting a PhD, you would begin by sending the supervisor an email and then do the formal application. I found that just doing the formal applications worked completely fine. And I think from the friends that were emailing people, you're not always going to get a response. And it kind of seemed like an extra step of work that didn't really get them anywhere. If, however, you are just very passionate about that project and you want to email and ask questions, I think that's completely fine. I'm not discouraging that. But kind of forcing yourself to email people just because it's a step that maybe your university's told you to do, I personally found that it didn't make any difference. But yeah, I hope some of that has been helpful. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.